Hey guys, today we're here to talk about Padparadzschas. Very excited. So we're doing a deep dive on every colored sapphire, and today we have the most beautiful Padparadscha.
Yes.
This is Benedict, FDA gemnologist, and she's here to guide us through everything from colors, prices, what to look out for, and even just the particularities around Padparadscha because of their uniqueness.
Yeah, Padparadscha are one of the rarest sapphires if you consider true Padparadscha. So there's no defined line on where it stops being a Padparadscha. A lot of peach sapphire will be sold as Padparadscha. Some light pinks will be sold as Padparadscha. But the true definition of Padparadscha is a mix of orange and pink. The word comes from the Sinhalese Padparadscha, which means a type of lotus flower. They can separate the two colors in sunrise and sunset, because these are two different colors, but it's always going to be a mix of orange and pink. If you put a Padparadscha next to a pink stone, it will look orange, and if you put it next to an orange stone, then you'll see how pink it is.
Okay, and so that's really what's going to define it, I guess, from a pink sapphire. So if you were to put a pink sapphire next to a pink sapphire, it would not look orange? Is that the only way that they're testing it?
There's no test of color. So color is going to be, and even on certificates, so I have a bunch of certificates here, they're usually going to describe the color as is. So light orangey pink or light pinkish orange, or the different saturation, dark orange pink. And then as a comment, they will write, also known as the trade as Padparadscha. Some people will say that Padparadscha has to be no heat. Some people will say heat is okay. I think a lot of stones are also low heat, so it's harder to find out if they are heated or no. There are ways, but usually the inclusions will still be intact.
Yeah, because that's the interesting thing about heat treatments is, like we've talked it before, but it's not just about enhancing the color, but it's also about enhancing the imperfections. So it'll literally kind of like melt, if you will, all the little needles inside. Yeah. And that's how you tell if it's been treated. Yeah,
without the advanced like technology or instrument or spectroscopy, with a simple microscope, you can tell when you have inclusions. Because if you don't have inclusions, you have no way of saying if it's been heat treated or not.
Yeah. In one line, can you describe what makes a Padparadscha?
It's the color.
Just the color, peachy
it's just
orange.
The color, yeah.
Okay.
It's
peachy
just the
orange.
color. I mean, a pink sapphire is pink, because pinkish orange.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is because like it is often like a full range of color. Like you have these peaches and then you have these very baby pinks. So I think that's why sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. But I guess as long as there's like a hint of orange.
Yeah. Okay.
What happened here?
This is a great example of two stones that are quite similar in weight, in measurements. They're both not heat treated. This one's the Padparadscha. This one is really more of like a cooler pink.
Baby pink, yeah.
This one clearly has orange, and sometimes Padparadscha, it's almost like, it's not neon, but you can kind of, you get something. Sometimes light pink, you see it, but it gets like washed out. I think Padparadscha usually have this intensity in color.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then you go to this one, which is almost more of like a red.
Yeah, this is another example. So these two are very similar. This one's got a slight
coral
hint of coral, more orange in it. This one's more of like an rose, like it's like a rosy blush kind of darker tone, but it's not hot pink. Doesn't really have orange in it. It's more like a raspberry. So this is Padparadscha, this is not, and we'll see later there's a big price difference just for that little hint of orange.
Yeah. Now we've gone over the ranges. What are some of the common misconceptions about Padparadscha?
There's a lot. When we go to Sri Lanka, when we go to trade show, a lot of people will try to pass like peach sapphire as Padparadscha. I think as long as you pay the price you know you're going to sell it for. I've bought Padparadscha at the price of peach. then once in my office, they become peach sapphires. They're no, so I'm not gonna sell them. I need to either have a certificate or something, because that's it. There's no line. I've seen people in trade show, very like knowledgeable people, and they were showing me their Padparadscha, and to me it was dark orange. Mm-hmm. But it's got a little pink, but it can be very orange, it can be very pink. There's no misconception wise. I think if you're the seller, you're gonna want to sell it as a Padparadscha. If you're a buyer and you can buy it as a peach sapphire, then that's gonna make a price difference. Maybe first we can talk about quality factors. What's gonna make the price?
Yeah, okay.
The price. It's the same as every other gemstones. The clarity.
Yep.
Here I only have eye clean stones, but of course, if you can find something kind of included, milky, it's going to be way cheaper. Clarity is going to have a big impact. The treatment. If it's not heat treated and still a lovely stone, then it's going to go for a much higher price. It's going to have a premium than just a really nice heated stone.
And you have examples of heated versus non-heated.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll touch on that a bit in prices as well, so you can get an idea.
Yeah, there's a big difference. Usually the more saturated, the more expensive. But Padparadscha, because of the market, because of the trend, it's the medium saturation that's gonna go the higher. If it's too dark, if it's too pink, if it's too orange, the price is not gonna be as expensive as like the perfect, like nice medium saturation.
100%. Like I can see, like even just like if somebody asks me for a Padparadscha, I can very much see them, you know, asking more for like these kinds of ranges versus, you know, like the darker range. 100%.
This one. Like to me, this one's is more of the color of the Padparadscha, but the market will prefer kind of these. It's not pastel, but it's kind of it's easier also to wear every day. We've seen this trend for engagement ring. People will want light blue, light green, light pink, peach. They don't necessarily want to like rock a hot pink sapphire every day for the rest of their life.
Never been asked that.
So the color, it's gonna have a major impact on the price. The heat treatment, I think the 90s they started making the beryllium treated.
Interesting. Yeah.
So what they do is beryllium is it's
chemical,
very small.
But,
Beryllium is tiny and it's so small that it just can make its way into the crystalline structure. Before that, they would do the iron diffusion with blue sapphires, so that will only kind of like get on the surface. If you recut it, it's gone. But the beryllium really goes through the art, so you can recut it, it's not going to change. These stones in the trade, they won't be called Padparadscha, they'll be called beryllium
treated sapphire.
sapphires.
And like we did a whole deep dive on beryllium and what it is on our yellow sapphire and orange sapphire video, where we like dive deep into like how it affected the price, quality, what it is. If you want to learn more about it.
We've talked a lot about the diffusion treatment there. If you know what you're buying, it's a great way to get more affordable options. You know, if that's your dream stone, but you don't have $20,000 for a 2-carat stone, then maybe that's an option for you.
100%. Yeah.
You know, it's still the sapphire, so there's other alternatives, but this, you're gonna keep the hardness, you're gonna keep the luster.
I mean, like everybody's different, right? I have clients who are more like budget focused. I have clients who want more like, you know, investment stones. Some who just want like as big as a carat weight as we can find, literally. So it just depends on you what's important.
The cutting.
Yeah, cut is so important, you guys. Like,
cut is very important. If it's not well cut, the stone's not gonna look good. It's gonna have.
But this is actually particularly to Padparadschas though. Padparadschas over like what would you say, like 2 carat, 1.5 carat tends to be not the straightest cuts.
No.
They can be a little wonky.
I mean, sapphires, it's understandable because when we buy stones, in gem shows, sometimes they've been bought to Sri Lanka or Madagascar and then recut and then they're beautiful. But if you go in these countries to buy, you'll have terribly cut stones because the way I see it is they're cutting it to see like, look, potential. They want to keep the weight. They're not going to take the risk because other people, other culture, they might not care as much about the cutting. Sometimes they just want a certain weight. They're going to try to keep the most weight to get the more money. So if I go and I see a 3-carat stone, it's a bit wonky that I know I'll have to recut and I'll lose maybe 50 points or something like that. I know I want to pay less than what a 3-carat stone will. So you kind of have to keep that in mind. And usually we have them recut. We lose weight, but then we can sell it. Because you cannot, in Montreal, in Canada, and the US, you cannot sell the stones when they're heavily windowed and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like how can I say? I had a client recently who wanted to recut his Padparadscha. Yeah. And it wasn't, there may be a little bit of unevenness, but is it worth for you to lose that size? There's also that, right?
There's
like
that.
If it's not perfect, if it's not like that noticeable, I would leave it as is.
Sapphires will always have a window to a certain extent because it's not like a diamond. You would have to cut it so deep to have the ideal bouncing of light. You would have to cut it so deep that it wouldn't look right. When you tilt them, you're always going to see through. It's just not the same optics as a diamond, for example. They have to keep the color, and sometimes that's it. Sometimes there's color zoning, and if you recut it and you lose that little pink part and it becomes a yellow sapphire. It is like gambling when you're recutting a stone. It could crack, it could change like look or color if there's color zoning. It's tricky, but usually when you know if the color is even, the stone looks good, you know you'll end up with a better stone after a little tweaking. So that's a big factor. So you might pay less for a 4-carat that's badly cut than for a 2.5 carat that's like top.
And I mean, at the end of the day, we're gonna overlook it for you. If there is something that comes up, you know, we see the videos of the stones that we're importing, and we can see the imperfections and the cuts, and so it's always something that we can overlook. Should we cut it? Should we not cut it? And it's something that's discussable.
Yeah, and it's often, if you're going through a gem dealer, it's going to be fine. But if you travel there, you have to think that people who buy gemstones on trips and stuff like that, you have to take this into consideration. The other thing, which is kind of between treatments and quality factor, is the color stability.
Yes.
Color stability in pink and yellow and Padparadscha sapphires. There are some stones that so let's say they will have like a medium saturation when you wear it every day. And then you put it in your jewelry box for like a month in the dark. It's going to get lighter.
In the dark?
So in a jewelry box, if you put it away, it's going to get kind of a duller color, like a more dull, like a lighter. The Padparadscha will become more pink. Will kind of lose their peachiness or their oranginess. And then when you take them back after a few hours of exposition to light, they will come back to their color. And if you put them under like a super strong, even LED, but super strong light, they will become like super pads. They will become even more orange. If you
all Padparadscha or really the medium ones? The medium.
The ones that are not colored stable. I don't have any of them here.
Okay.
No. So they test them. Now I have like Belle Lotus. I haven't seen any comments on that, but I think maybe it's just like a routine test that if they're gonna put Padparadscha, they're probably gonna do this test. But yeah, these people, these two labs, it's like fading tests performed, color stable. So that's something you also want to look at when you're buying a Padparadscha. I think it's very cool.
I don't think it's that bad.
It's not.
I was expecting you to tell me.
No, it's not
gonna
bad.
Fade or something.
No, it's not gonna fade like permanently. It's just like kind of unstable. It's not gonna change. It's not like some people say kunzite will really lose their color when exposed to UV light over time. From what I understand, they will fade, they will come back, they will go super, they will come back. It's kind of, to me, that's very cool.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed at all. And again, like, you're buying a Padparadscha, it's most likely at a certain price point, 10,000 and up, it's going to come with a lab report anyway, so we're going to know if it's stable or not.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's jump into prices.
So we'll start with these ones. This is a Padparadscha. This is pink. This is peach. The Padparadscha goes for 22K. The peach one, 14K. These are all no heat.
Okay.
So they're all 2.44 carat, 2.54 and 2.3. So 22, 14K, and this one is 8K for the pink sapphire. So there's a big price difference.
Huge.
Between these two that are not that different. This one's a bit lighter, but it does have some orange. But it's more than the double because it has just this little bit.
And is that
of
one a no
orange.
heat?
Yeah, no heat. So they're both very nice, and then the peach will kind of be between it because peach, it's very like popular. People love that. Morganites were so popular for years. Now it's people want that in sapphires. So it's just like super trendy. Right now the prices are high because everyone wants that. They're still quite pricey. And this we can see more of the distinction. 2.15 carat and 2.52. So the pink one is heavier. And it's also less than half. So the Padparadscha is at 22K and the pink one is $8,000.
Big difference.
If you put it next to the peach, you see more pink, but the color is not that different.
Yeah.
But there's just like kind of a glow.
A little something about it.
There's a little something. It's hard to like say to what extent it's different.
Yeah.
But there is just kind of a more fleshy kind of it's more like
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's like rosy, but the colors are very
because I
similar.
find that the other peaches are almost more peachy yellow, and that's like a peachy pink.
Peachy pink would be Padparadscha.
Yeah.
If you like this color, then you can go in peach sapphires. Then you'll save money. But also the thing with Padparadscha is that they will probably hold value a lot more than peach.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like one of those investment stones, just like alexandrite.
Yeah, if you have a nice 2 carat plus Padparadscha, no heat, with a cert, I mean, you're
not going to lose value.
You're not going to lose value. These two are very, very slightly different. This one goes for 3,000 and this one for 8,000. Even when you put them like on the side, you see right away that
it has a lot more fire.
It has more orange.
Yeah, because even if it's a darker stone, it just pops. You see it.
Yeah. This one's like if we were in blue sapphires and this one was like a medium saturated blue and this one a lighter blue, the price difference would be huge in terms of this one would be much more expensive. But now it's the opposite. So this one's going to be 20,000. This one's going to be 9,000. Just because this one's got the more perfect cutting, medium color, not too saturated. So it's all about offer and demand. If everyone wants lighter shade, then they're going to go for less.
And are these darker shades going to be harder to find because they're not in demand as much? Or does it matter?
I mean, everything can be found, maybe not tomorrow morning. But if people have time to find the perfect stone, we can find some.
So where are these mostly found?
They're gonna be like originally they were found in Sri Lanka. Now there's some in Madagascar, some in Tanzania. Madagascar, people say it will be more on the pink side. Sri Lankan, obviously, it's like history. They also have very, very high quality Padparadscha. Madagascar will be a bit more pink. They might require more like heat treatment.
And does one of them hold a higher prestige than the others, or does it
I think
matter?
Sri Lankan sapphires will always hold, like even for blues, if you have a blue Sri Lankan, like the origin, even though Madagascar and other places produce beautiful stones, it's the quality of the stone, but it's also the history.
All right, guys, so let's talk about some comparisons, because obviously there does come a certain price point with this, but there are other options that look quite similar.
You have the good old morganite.
Yeah.
I feel like this will be in the cheaper options if you want to get that color. Morganites were super trendy 10 years ago to maybe 5 years ago. Now people will still want that color, but they will want sapphires or tourmalines or spinels, just because morganite is kind of like, well, it's a bit softer. It tends to get dirty a bit faster. Another option is imperial topaz. They're harder to find.
They're too hard to find. She always pulls them out, and let me be honest, if they have them, then we'll use them, but
they're pretty. They're not, I mean, they are hard to find. It's also that there's not, like, if you go to Brazil, I'm pretty sure you'll find them every corner of the street. People don't know so much about it here, so maybe that's why. But it's not. I mean, Padparadscha are much rarer. Imperial topaz are maybe harder to find, like specific piece, but they're not abundant. They should be easier. If you go to a trade show, you'll find really nice imperial topaz, but here in Canada, it's like a lot of other, like jade. We're not a market for jade. We'll have some, but if someone's looking for an exceptional piece, I'll have to like source it, because I'm not going to carry it if I don't have the market for it. We had some really nice imperial topaz, and we sold them last year at a trade show, because here they were not go, you know. But yeah, imperial topaz are great. Spinels.
yes.
And this one's not the best example, but it's a lovely, you know.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close.
It's very close. It's more of a darker tones. There's a lot of like light pink, but if you want that orangey, it might be like with the medium to dark shade. A lot more affordable. The luster and the hardness are great, so that's good. Spinels, great option. A lot cheaper than pads. Are you in love, Miles?
Sweet boy. Oh, he's just old.
He's just so old.
And this is like a really, like, we're always here to help. So no matter your budget, you can just tell us the aesthetic that you like, the color, the saturation, and then we can just work out the logistics and try to find you like the best option.
If you want a big stone, you got a lower budget, there's always going to be something in the world of gemstones.
Thank you so much, Benedict.
You're welcome.
If you have any more questions, do leave them down below. We always try to answer. And do head on over to our, TikTok, Dominic Flux, or Instagram, Find a Flux, if you like the short form content, because we do break them into like little minute videos. So thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Bye.